Genesis 15:01. Do not be afraid, Abram. I am your shield, your very great reward. Genesis 21:17. Do not be afraid. God has heard the boy crying as he lies there. Genesis 26:24. Do not be afraid, for I am with you. I will bless you. Exodus 14:13. Do not be afraid. Stand firm, and you will see the deliverance the Lord will bring you today. Leviticus 26:6. I will grant peace in the land, and you will lie down, and no one will make you afraid. Deuteronomy 1:21. Do not be afraid. Do not be discouraged. Deuteronomy 3:22. Do not be afraid of them. The Lord your God himself will fight for you. Deuteronomy 31:6. Be strong and courageous. Do not be afraid or terrified. Deuteronomy 31:8. The Lord himself goes before you and will be with you. Do not be afraid. Joshua 1:9. Be strong and courageous. Do not be afraid. Do not be discouraged. Joshua 10:25. Do not be afraid. Do not be discouraged. Be strong and courageous. Judges 6:23. Devoured. Peace. Do not be afraid. You are not going to die. 1 Samuel 12:20. Do not be afraid. You have done all this evil, yet do not turn away from the Lord. 2 Kings chapter 16 verses 16. Don't be afraid. Those who are with us are more than those who are with them. 2 Chronicles 20:15. Do not be afraid or discouraged because of this vast army. The battle is not yours, but God's. 2 Chronicles 20:17. You will not have to fight this battle. Do not be afraid. Nehemiah 4:14. Don't be afraid of them. Remember the Lord, who is great and awesome. Job 11:15. Then you will lift up your face without shame. You will stand firm and without fear. Psalm 23:04. Even though I walk through the darkest valley, I will fear no evil. Psalm 27:01. The Lord is my light and my salvation. Whom shall I fear? Psalm 34:4. I sought the Lord, and he answered me. He delivered me from all my fears. Psalm 56:3. When I am afraid, I put my trust in you. Psalm 118 verse 6. The Lord is with me. I will not be afraid. Proverbs 3:24. When you lie down, you will not be afraid. Isaiah 35:4. Say to those with fearful hearts, be strong, do not fear. Isaiah 41:10. Do not fear, for I am with you. Do not be dismayed. Isaiah 41:13. Do not fear, I will help you. Isaiah 43:1. Do not fear, for I have redeemed you. Jeremiah 1:8. Do not be afraid of them, for I am with you, and I will rescue you. Jeremiah 46:28. Do not be afraid, Jacob, my servant, for I am with you. Lamentations chapter 3, verse 57. You came near when I called you, and you said, do not fear. Ezekiel 2:6. Do not be afraid of them or their words. Daniel 10:19. Do not be afraid, you who are highly esteemed, Lawford, he said. Ever so much money for that. For anybody with a wish to have a room filled with things they liked, at a library for them that would do everything you wanted it to do. Everybody had a funnel-shaped library with great books, and they could spend their money on anything. They could go to work on painting things, or they could run up the library for that car, that suit, that pair of socks, major whatever. Matthew 1:20. Do not be afraid to take Mary home as your wife. Matthew 6:25, do not worry about your life, what you will eat or drink. Matthew 8:26, you of little faith, why are you so afraid? Matthew 10:28, do not be afraid of those who kill the body, but cannot kill the soul. Matthew 10:31, so don't be afraid, you are worth more than many sparrows. Matthew 14:27, take courage, it is I, don't be afraid. Matthew 17:7, get up, don't be afraid. Mark 4:40, why are you so afraid? Do you still have no faith? Luke 1:13, do not be afraid, Zechariah, your prayer has been heard. Luke 1:30, do not be afraid, Mary, you have found favor with God. Luke 2:10, do not be afraid. I bring you good news that will cause great joy. Luke 5:10, don't be afraid. From now on, you will fish for people. Luke 12:7, don't be afraid. You are worth more than many sparrows. Luke 12:32, do not be afraid, little flock, for your Father has been pleased to give you the kingdom. John 6:20, it is I, don't be afraid. John 14:27, do not let your hearts be troubled, and do not be afraid. Acts 18:9, do not be afraid, keep on speaking, do not be silent. Acts 27:24, do not be afraid, Paul, you must stand trial before Caesar. Romans 8:15, the Spirit you received did not make you slaves so that you live in fear again. Tale 2 Timothy 1:7, for the Spirit God gave us does not make us timid. Hebrews 13:6, the Lord is my helper, I will not be afraid. 1 John 4:18, there is no fear in love, but perfect love drives out fear. Revelation 1:17, do not be afraid, I am the first and there. Job 5:21, you will be protected from the lash of the tongue, and need not fear when destruction comes. Psalm 46:2, therefore we will not fear, though the earth give way. Psalm 112:7, they will have no fear of bad news, their hearts are steadfast, trusting in the Lord. Proverbs 1:33, whoever listens to me will live in safety and be at ease without fear of harm. Proverbs 29:25, fear of man will prove to be a snare, but whoever trusts in the Lord is kept safe. Isaiah 7:04, be careful, keep calm, and don't be afraid. Isaiah 8:12, do not fear what they fear, and do not dread it. Isaiah 12:02, surely God is my salvation. I will trust and not be afraid. Isaiah 44:4, do not be afraid, my servant Jacob, whom I have chosen. Isaiah 31:7, do not fear the reproach of mere mortals, or be terrified by their insults. Isaiah 54:4, do not be afraid, you will not be put to shame. Isaiah 54:14, in righteousness you will be established. Tyranny will be far from you. You will have nothing to fear. Jeremiah 10 a.m. to 3 p.m., do not fear them. They can do no harm, nor can they do any good. Daniel 10:12, do not be afraid, Daniel, since the first day that you set your mind to guide. Matthew 28:5, do not be afraid, for I know that you are looking for Jesus who was crucified. Matthew 28:10, do not be afraid, go and tell my brothers to go to Galilee. Mark 5:30, saying, "Don't be afraid, just believe." Mark 56, "Take courage. It is I, don't be afraid." Luke 8:50, this is, "Don't be afraid, just believe, and she will be healed." John 12:15, "Do not be afraid, daughter Zion. See, your king is coming." John 16:33, "In this world you will have trouble, but take heart, I have overcome the world." Romans 8:38-39, "For I am convinced that neither death nor life, neither angels nor demons, will be able to separate us from the love of God." 1 Corinthians 16:13, "Be on your guard, stand firm in the faith, be courageous, be strong." Philippians 4:6-7, "Do not be anxious about anything, but in every situation, by prayer and petition, the peace of God will guard your hearts and your minds in Christ Jesus." Colossians 3:15, "Let the peace of Christ rule in your hearts." 2 Thessalonians 3:03, "The Lord is faithful, and he will strengthen you and protect you from the evil one." Hebrews 2:15, "And free those who all their lives were held in slavery by their fear of death." Hebrews 4:16, "Let us then approach God's throne of grace with confidence." James 5:8, "Be patient and stand firm, because the Lord's coming is near." 1 Peter 3:14, "Do not fear their threats, do not be frightened." 1 Peter 5:7, verse 5, "Cast all your anxiety on him, because he cares for you." 2 Peter 3:14, "Make every effort to be found spotless, blameless, and at peace with him." Revelation 2:10, "Do not be afraid of what you are about to suffer. Be faithful even to the point of death." Revelation 21:04, "He will wipe every tear from their eyes. There will be no more death." Amau. Exodus 20:20, "Do not be afraid. God has come to test you so that the fear of God will be with you." Isaiah 40:29, "He gives strength to the weary and increases the power of the weak." Isaiah 40:31, "Those who hope in the Lord will renew their strength." Isaiah 45:3, "I will give you hidden treasures, riches stored in secret places." Jeremiah 32:27, "I am the Lord, the God of all mankind. Is anything too hard for me?" Habakkuk 3:19, "The sovereign Lord is my strength." Zephaniah 3:17, "The Lord your God is with you, the mighty warrior who saves." Psalm 91:5, "You will not fear the terror of night." Psalm 46:1, "God is our refuge and strength, and ever-present help in trouble." Psalm 56:11, "In God I trust and am not afraid." What?